Madam's Identities shocks the entire city again. Chapter 1, The Chiao family has made a fake daughter. Chapter 1, The Chiao family has issued a fake daughter. The sky around the city in June is like a stove, and the scorching sun forms heat waves on the oil road, and there is no one on the road burning. Xiao Nian dragged her newly packed luggage out of the room. Before I went downstairs, I heard the chirping sound of Qiao Chen downstairs. My parents, Xiao Nian's biological parents, are really coming to pick her up. Qiao's father asked her strictly, "What do you care about this? Have you mastered the piano music you want to use later? At that time, your grandmother's friend will come from Beijing. She is a professor of the People's Art Theater and a national piano master. If you perform better, your grandmother will help you get along with it. Your affairs will be stable when you go to Beijing to go to college. I'm already practicing." Before Xiao Nian could go down, she heard Xiao Chen act coquettishly again. "Dad, what do you think of my sister's biological parents?" As soon as she finished speaking, she hid in naiveness and muttered disdainfully, "Her biological parents said they were coming the day before yesterday, and they were here today. Isn't it possible to buy a train ticket? I took the train from the mountain valley for 2 days and 1 night to pick up people." Xiao Nian's footsteps upstairs couldn't help but stop, and a hint of irony flashed through her cold eyes. 3 months ago, she accidentally discovered that her good sister Qiao Chen had a private ambiguous relationship with her boyfriend and both cheated on her. She was so angry that she broke the matter openly, and then she realized that she was not a member of the Qiao family at all, but just a child adopted by the Qiao family from the orphanage. The Qiao family adopted her because she was not kind-hearted and wanted to do good deeds. But Qiao Chen was born with a rare blood disease since childhood. In addition to taking medication, he also had blood transfusions every month. The Qiao family runs its own company and went public successfully last year. It is considered to be well known in the city. If Qiao Chen's illness is simply spent money, the Qiao family will not have a headache. Coincidentally, Qiao Chen was not only lucky and sick, but also had a rare Rh-type blood type. This blood type is very rare. It is said that only 1 or 2 out of 100,000 people will inherit this blood type. Because it is too rare, hospitals call this type of blood panda blood. It means it is as precious as a giant panda. The Qiao family has money to treat the disease, but it is impossible to ensure that the hospital has enough panda blood for Qiao Chen to use every month. So the Qiao family thought about it and thought of a way: adopt a child with matching blood type in the orphanage and use it as a mobile blood bag for his daughter. She is the free blood bag. Since childhood, Xiao Nian has been educated as a good sister, and she can wear beautiful clothes for her sister and get the chance to win awards. If it weren't for the fact that Xiao Chen and Fu Gu were exposed this time, she would have been kept in the dark. The Qiao family is willing to tell her this just because after years of treatment, Xiao Chen has basically recovered. As long as he pays attention, he does not need to take medicine and transfusion. She has no value anymore, and the old lady Qiao was angry that she made the matter between Xiao Chen and Fu Gu at Xiao Chen's birthday party. In order to preserve Xiao Chen's reputation and the face of the Qiao family, she simply exposed her fake daughter in front of everyone. Qiao's father didn't want to mention Xiao Nian. "You say a few less words." Xiao Chen didn't pay the bill, and pouted and said back, "It was. They can afford to buy air tickets, so how can they come now? Don't be a pauper." Yu Guang, Father Qiao, saw Xiao Nian coming down from the stairs and whispered to stop him. The first thing that caught my eye was the wild face. She wore a light blue t-shirt on her body and a red and white striped shirt on the outside. The hem of the clothes was casually tied into the denim shorts and exposed her legs, which were thin and white. Everyone in their family is very white, but Xiao Nian is even whiter than them. I don't know if it's because of the white skin, Xiao Nian's eyes are always particularly dark. Seeing her, Xiao Weiman always feels alienated from a layer of separation. It is indeed not the reason for the biological child. "Nian Nian, have you packed your things?" After all, after raising them for more than 10 years, Xiao's father pursed his lips and withdrew his gaze. He asked in a gentle tone than the rest of the Qiao family. Xiao Nian came down with her light luggage and said no. Xiao Chen finally saw her, and immediately put away his face that had just watched the fun, pretended to be nothing, shouting, "Sister." Xiao Nian was too lazy to and she stepped directly from her. Ignored by Xiao Nian, Xiao Chen pouted without permission, and her long eyelashes drooped down as if she was wronged. Her fair face didn't look much bloody, and she was as weak as white as a flower in the wind. He Yujuan shivered on the spot, turned black, and snorted with a crutch, "Chen Chen is talking to you, can't you hear it?" Xiao Chen immediately took her hand, raised her head, shook her head delicately, bit her lip and spoke to her, "Grandma, forget it, my sister is in a bad mood, it's okay for me." After she said this, He Yujuan was even more disliked when she saw the girl walking in front of her. She was all wrong and said in disgust, "It turns out that it's not a child of the Qiao family." After teaching for more than 10 years, she still can't get rid of the petty aura in her bones. "Mom." Xiao Weiman called her like a plea, walked to Xiao Nian, and took out a card hypocritically, "This is 10,000 yuan. He sighed and stuffed it to Xiao Nian, "Take it. Go back to your parents' house and be obedient. You can keep the money to buy clothes. You may also be able to use it for studying in the future." He has always been cautious in his work, and it was the critical moment that the Qiao family had just taken over a government development project. Xiao Weiman did not want to cause trouble. He investigated Xiao Nian's biological parents who came to pick him up. He seemed to be surnamed Jiang, and his professional teacher was from Luohe County. Luohe is 300 kilometers away from the Ring City. That area is a well-known poor county. Entrepreneurs have to donate money to Luohe County every year to help poverty alleviation, and he has also donated it. He did not check the teacher in a small countryside county town and automatically brought the hard-earned rural teachers who were often interviewed in the news. Xiao Nian is already in his 3rd year of high school and has returned to Luohe. It is almost impossible for him to get into college, let alone go to Beijing to study for college after studying in Ringqing No. 1 middle school like Xiao Chen. This life is ruined. This chapter ends. Madam's Identities shocks the entire city again. Chapter 2, My Fiancé is also. Chapter 2, It's also my fiancé. He felt a little reluctant in his eyes, so he forced the card into Xiao Nian's hand and asked her to hold it. He looked at Xiao Nian's fair face and asked softly, "Have you finished the things? You can bring the necklace I bought for you on your 10th birthday. It's a gift I bought for you, and it's yours for you. It doesn't matter if you bring it with you." He Yujuan immediately frowned when she heard this and glanced at Xiao Nian standing there unhappily. Due to her identity, she was embarrassed to speak for a necklace worth 3,000 yuan. Xiao Chen stood beside her obediently, softly echoing Xiao Weiman's words, "Yes, sister, Dad gave you it, you can bring it with you. Maybe it's useful in the future." She didn't say the following words clearly. Xiao Nian could hear what she meant outside of her words, lifted her eyelids, and looked at her coldly, saying that her wildness was hard to tame. Xiao Chenhui gave her a proud smile, and her arrogant charity expression was carved out in the same mold as everyone present in the Qiao family. Xiao Nian lifted her shoulder bag and returned the card to Xiao Weiman, saying lightly, "I put that necklace in the drawer of the room. You can go find it if you are worried. I didn't take any of the Qiao family's things except the notebook I bought myself." As soon as she said this, the Qiao family present was a little overwhelmed. Especially He Yujuan and Xiao's mother, who just held her own identity and didn't even bother to say anything, changed their faces one after another. This Xiao Nian never knows how to be well behaved, and always makes people unable to get out of Taiwan. Xiao Chen glanced at the backpack that Xiao Nian was carrying, his eyes flashed, and a trace of disregard for disregard, and said inadvertently, "Sister, parents and grandma don't mean this. You are too sensitive. We have lived together for more than 10 years. Even if you find your biological parents, you are my sister. We all hope you will live a good life. You don't want a necklace, and you should take the 10,000 yuan that Dad gave you. Luohe County is different from the Ringqing city, and there are many places to use money." Xiao Weiman came to his senses, looked bad and reluctantly said, "Yes, you can take the money." "No need. She had some money." Xiao Nian confiscated his card and did not intend to have any relationship with the Qiao family. Just then the phone rang. She put the thin bank card that Xiao Weiman forced her back on the table, lowered her eyes and looked at the caller ID, and said to the Chiao family, "My family is here, I'll leave first." He Yujuan saw the back that was walking out straight, couldn't help but snort at the air and mocked, "Humph, it's really an ungrateful wolf. You have raised her for more than 10 years in vain, but before leaving, they didn't even shout at you. Grandma, sister, she may want to see her biological parents too much." Xiao Chen's voice penetrated into her ears with a light voice. Unfortunately, Xiao Nian's biological parents are poor who can't even get in the villa area. It's so funny. My sister just said she only brought her laptop away. I saw that her backpack was bulging, and it didn't seem like she only had a laptop. Father Qiao shook his head and sighed hypocritically, "Forget it, we have raised her for more than 10 years. If she wants to take her, she will take her away. Anyway, our family is not short of that little money." He Yujuan held the crutch and looked at her back that had been taken away, saying contemptuously, "It's okay if she leaves, it's not the species of our Qiao family. Chen, don't call her sister in the future. That kind of person is not worthy of being your sister. Go and change clothes quickly. You will have a meal at Shuixiexuan later. You must seize this opportunity. There are people outside of people, and there are heavens outside of heaven. Although the Qiao family is good at circling the city, it is still a bit less profound than the Jiang family, Tang family and other families." Xiao Nian couldn't hear the following words clearly, and only vaguely heard Xiao Chen's response that could not hide his joy and the joyful voice of the Qiao family. Asterisk. The sun was hot, and the sun outside was burning like fire. There were waves of heat rolling on the road. Except for the occasional elderly people who were enjoying cool under the shade of the trees, there were almost no one on the road. Outside the rose garden, a black phoenix was parked quietly on the side of the road. Jiang Li raised his watch and looked at the time. The minute hand had been turning half a circle, but he had not seen anyone come out of the villa area. He rolled down the car window impatiently and looked outside. The outside air immediately rushed in, and the air conditioner in the car was poured in by the hot air. The man's low-key command came from the back seat, "Close the window." The voice is very shallow, suppressing blood, but it has a kind of courage that cannot be ignored. Jiang Li heard the voices in the back seat of the car, turned his head anxiously, and raised the window with obedient in his hand, unable to help but mutter. "I said Wang, your sister is not in a hurry. I should have arrived the day before yesterday. You insisted that I go to Linshire to pick you up, but I came until today. My old man called me to ask for guilt and gave me the death order. He couldn't take anyone back tonight, so he told me not to go back in the future. He came to pick someone up by himself. Yi Wangchuan hadn't been asleep for 3 days, and had a headache and annoyance." The chattering voices in his ears were buzzing in his ears like electric drills. He pressed down the sluggishness in his eyes, leaned back, lifted his eyelids, and glanced at the young man in front of him without any emotion, with a hoarse voice, "It's also my fiancé. It's also my fiancé, so a few short words make the car quiet. If you chase for 3 generations, the Jiang family is also pretty good. But compared with the Yi family, there is still a difference between him and Yi Wangchuan. He and Yi Wangchuan grew up together and were both in that courtyard. Over the years, he gradually realized that Yi Wangchuan is different from him, and the Yi family is also different. In this generation, the most painful thing for the Yi family is the young master who is sitting in his car and is afraid of talking in the Beijing circle. If it weren't for his old man who had a lifelong friendship with that man, the one who felt that he would have owed them a life, it wouldn't be their turn to be the one who was Yi Wangchuan's fiancé. A trace of worry couldn't help but rise in his eyes. His little cousin has been lost for more than 10 years. He has investigated it and found that all aspects are ordinary, so he is afraid he is not a good match with Master Wang. It's out. Jiang Li was worried and suddenly saw outside the car window from the corner of his eye. A figure slowly walked out of the asphalt road in the villa area. It seems to be my sister, I'll go down and take a look. Jiang Li quickly explained to the back, unbuttoned his seatbelt, opened the car door and walked out. Under the sunlight, the slender figure was getting closer and closer. What first caught his eye was a pair of thin white legs, evenly symmetrical and straight. Very white. Jiang Li is used to wandering outside. He has seen many beauties in the entertainment industry, and he can't help but be stunned. The girl who walked over was only 17 or 18 years old, with her skin that was so white that she could almost see the purple-red capillaries under her skin in the sun. The white porcelain face, dark eyes, and the long eye feathers look like small brushes. There is also a trace of wildness that is unintentionally untactical in the coldness. Even though he had seen countless beauties, he couldn't help but scream at this moment, "Oh!" This chapter ends. Madame's Identities shocks the entire city again. Chapter 3, it turns out to be a hidden guy. Chapter 3, it turns out that it is a hidden boss. His mother said earlier that my second aunt looked more beautiful than some female celebrities in the entertainment industry today when she was young. He said without any conscience at the time that he said nothing without any truth. He believed it now. Slap in the face in seconds. So fragrant. On the other side, Xiao Nian was talking casually to the person on the other side with her cell phone. "Qiao, did the Qiao family really drive you out? That group of people are so disgusting. In the past, you had to use you to sacrifice your cheap sister's life, and usually heal you with the identity of a relative as a moral person. When you see that you have no value in use, you will immediately kick you. If I had known, you wouldn't have to work hard to cure that Xiao Chen. They knew nothing. If it weren't for you, would Xiao Chen's short-lived ghost who could not live 20 be cured? They thought hemophilia was a cold, so they would have been cured by taking amoxicillin for a night's sleep." Xiao Nian saw someone walking towards him, lowered her eyelids and said casually, "No matter what, the Qiao family has raised me, and cured Xiao Chen's illness will be considered as a favor for them. I will have nothing to do with them in the future." The person on the other end of the phone gritted his teeth and said in a desperate situation, "You don't know how much you have helped the Qiao family over the years. If it weren't for you," Qiao Weiman thought, why did he do business from the circle of cities to the capital? He was a fool. "And your sister, I used to ask you to give her some lessons and help her adapt the songs. Their family has taken advantage of you in a mess, but they have less of a disadvantage. I used to think they were your biological parents and sisters, but I just felt that they were partial. Later, I realized that they had no blood relationship with you at all, and I realized that they were shameless. They know that you are not their biological child, and they don't regard you as a family member, but they are so embarrassed to use you like that. Their skin is made of titanium and platinum, right?" Xiao said a word, thinking that he had described it appropriately, and raised the corner of his mouth and said, "I know when I have supplemented Chinese language. I've always known it." Seeing that Jiangli was coming, Xiao Nian lowered her voice, "I have something to do, I won't tell you anymore, I'm dead. Where are you staying at night? Do you want me to go around the city to pick you up?" "No need, my family is here to pick me up." "You really want to find your biological parents?" Xiao Nian's eyes were indifferent and his tone was low, "The leaves fall all their roots, so I must at least know where I came from and who I am." The other end opposite was silent for a moment, and said nothing. Xiao Nian didn't want to guess what he was thinking now, and whispered, "I'm dead." She hung up quickly. As soon as Jiangli came, she had already hung up the phone and put her cell phone in her pocket. Who doesn't like good-looking things or people? Jiangli smiled and looked forward to help her get things and greeted him actively, "Nian, right? I am your cousin, Jiangli. Just call me second brother." Xiao Nian looked up at him. Jiangli was tall and had outstanding skin. His narrow and long peach blossom eyes were born with a smile and gave people a harmless sense of intimacy. A bright purple color was dyed on his forehead, showing his frivolity and his character in a noble manner. Hiss, she seemed to have seen this face somewhere. Xiao Nian is face-blind, and people who are not important generally cannot remember it. She filtered the faces of people she knew in her mind, and just let it go if she didn't remember it. Hello, I'm Xiao Nian." She greeted her politely, looking quite well behaved, at least in Jiang Li's eyes. "Grandpa's legs and feet are inconvenient, so he can't take the plane, so he asked me to come and pick you up. The high-speed train he took was there later. Your father and my parents booked a place to eat at Shuxiating. It was probably already here, so let's go first." Jiang Li smiled and talked to her while asking for her bag. "Nian, I have a friend in the car. He will have dinner with us later. don't you mind? Babies, the new book period is very important to a book. While you are pursuing literature and improving literature, don't forget to click on a collection comment and recommendation vote. The better the grades of the book, the faster the updates, and you will be more enjoyable to read it. The two bigwigs in the new book took off their vests and slapped Su Shuang in the face. The guy has finished many books, and the cheating products are guaranteed. The heroine hides the boss in the early stage, and Sister Qiao will take you to the face and take you to fly in the later stage. By depressed wolf-type Beijing rich young man ex-hidden vest female high school student. The wolf male lead. If you never forget it, there will be a resounding sound. Babies, don't forget to call Qiao Nian and Master Wang. The encouragement of the baby is the motivation for the guy to continue writing. Also, the book group number, 7037444370, any person in the Stepping Stone book. This chapter ends. Madam's Identities shocks the entire city again. Chapter 4, Naked Cars at least 2 million. Chapter 4, At least 2 million naked cars. Qiao Nian avoided his stretched hand without a trace and followed him one step away from him. His voice was hoarse and casual, and his pronunciation was clear, don't mind. Jiangli looked at his lost hand and was stunned for a moment. He unexpectedly looked at the soft and weak little cousin next to him, with a confused look on his eyes. He didn't even see clearly how she hid. Jiangli thought it might be an accident, so he didn't think much about it. He happened to walk to the car door and helped her open the back seat door. It's hot outside, get on the bus first. Before Qiao Nian came out, she didn't know what kind of person her biological parents were, nor did she know what the other party was doing. She just hangs her information on a popular website for finding lost children, Baby Go Home. Not long after, someone contacted her. The follow-up was all Qiao Weiman's handover. Qiao Chen once revealed to her, unintentionally, that her parents were from Luoha town and were a teacher. Qiao Nian narrowed her eyes and looked at the Fian with a halo in the sun, retracting her gaze. She knew about this model. Tang Yao told her that naked cars start from 2 million. This car has a sunroof, which looks top-notch, with no less than 3.8 million yuan in floor space. Qiao Nian raised her eyebrows. The Bentley that Qiao Weiman exchanged for the year before last was only 5 million yuan. Who is her grandfather in Luoha County? As soon as she sat in, the air conditioner came over her face, dispelling the heat caused by the sun outside. Qiao Nian saw the friend sitting in the car who was going to have dinner with them later. The other party was about 20 years old, and his eyebrows were eye-catching. Perhaps because of the slightest eye at the end of his eyes, his face was a little cold when he raised his chin. The clothes on his body were not marked but were well crafted. It seemed to be tailor-made for him when he was worn. The metal buttons were bright and unpleasant, and there was no wrinkle. The eyes were deep, lazy and decadent, and it looked very difficult to get along with. There was a string of Buddhist beads on his wrist, and there was a faint sandalwood fragrance in the car. This person believes in Buddhism. Jiangli smiled and introduced outside the car door, Nian Nian, this is Yi Wangchuan, my friend, just call him Brother Yi. Qiao Nian paused and looked at her. Phaeton is a relatively spacious car model in the sedan category. The man has long legs but has the illusion that he has nowhere to put it on, and he still needs to be bent a little before he can put it down. Qiao Nian felt a gaze falling on her body invisibly. She pursed her lips, lowered her eyelids, and called Brother Yi in a seemingly obedient but casual manner, and then found a seat next to her to sit down. Yi Wangchuan lifted his eyelids by her soft brother's scream, and his deep eyes rarely rippled. The eyes fell on the girl sitting quietly in a corner beside him. Her skin was white, very white, as delicate as white porcelain glaze. Her eyelids were thin, and her eyes were looking out the car window, and her curled eyelashes also raised up. She was so small that she was so obedient. Jiangli has good driving skills, and there are 3 people in the car. Jiangli seemed to be afraid that she would be embarrassed, so he found a topic from time to time and said a few words to her. By the way, I told her about the situation at home without any trace. The only man sitting next to her never spoke from beginning to end. But he sat there, like a resting lion, and even without showing his claws, it was impossible to ignore his existence. The car quickly drove to the destination. Shuikshuan is located in the center of the city. On this land that is worth every inch of land, it seems that every inch of land does not build a skyscraper. But Shuikshuan is located in the most prosperous area, but has a large area of garden landscape. It is located in a prime location and is quiet in a hustle and bustle. It is destined to be of high quality and good business here. I'll go park. Jiang Li parked the car at the door and followed the man who had not spoken in the car and said, Master Wang, I ordered a water-like private room. You can bring Nian in first. I parked the car and come over immediately. Xiao Nian heard a low nasal sound beside her, and a low and seductive male voice seemed to be pressed against her ear. Let's go. This chapter ends. Madam's Identities shocks the entire city again. Chapter 5, that's a really top-notch talent. Chapter 5, that's a really top-notch rich sect. Xiao Nian lifted her eyelids, thought about it, and slowly raised her legs and followed her. Shuikshuan is very big, but the person seems to be familiar with this place. He is tall and long, and looks like he is walking fast, but he is always half a step away from her. She frowned slightly, pinching the strap of her one-shoulder bag, and had a headache. She was looking for her biological parents just to find out who she was, but now it seems like she has fallen into a trouble. Xiao Nian. She walked forward with her heels, and suddenly, a familiar voice came from beside her, calling her name in surprise. As soon as she looked up, she saw a group of people standing in a dark place not far away. Xiao Weimin, Xiao's mother, Xiao's old lady and Xiao Chen, who had just separated from her, were among them. In addition to Xiao Weimin and others, Fu Gu and Mrs. Fu were also there, and there were two other women in tang suits. The young man supported the older man's hands. The old man's hair was snow white and a string of green jade necklaces hung around his neck. The rose-red tang suit was wearing it, and he felt the elegance and calmness accumulated by the years, and he also looked at her from afar. He was talking to the person next to him, as if asking who she was. When I saw Xiao Nian here, the people in the Qiao family looked wonderful. Why are you here? Xiao Weimin walked over quickly, lowered his voice, and a hint of irritability appeared in his eyebrows. He gave Xiao Nian money, but Xiao Nian didn't want it. He thought Xiao Nian had backbone, but he didn't expect to chase him here. Xiao Chen is going to become a disciple later, and the people from the Fu family are here. He doesn't want to make everyone know about the family scandal. He suppresses his anger and says, Nian, no one drives you away, your mother, your grandmother, and you are banning information online to find your biological parents. The person has been found. If you don't follow your parents back, why are you going to make trouble? He thought Xiao Nian had heard them talking downstairs and deliberately chased after him. He didn't look at Yi Wangchuan beside Xiao Nian, so he took out his wallet and said, Did you figure it out, or do you want to take that 10,000 yuan? Xiao Nian looked at him in anger and pulled down his eyelids, just about to speak. Suddenly, one hand inserted in and pressed Xiao Weimin's bank card back into her wallet. He grabbed her hand with his back hand, dropped his eyes and lowered his eyes and said to Xiao Nian in a faint voice, Let's go, Grandpa Jiang is waiting for you. Xiao Nian's eyebrows were almost tied together. Anyone who knew her knew that she was extremely disgusted with others touching her. The last person who wanted to touch her was sent to the hospital and was discharged from the hospital for 3 months. At this moment, his left hand was firmly held by someone, and his hot big palm completely wrapped her hand. A layer of fine sweat appeared in the palm of Xiao Nian's palm. He raised his head and looked at the man who was holding her hand naturally. He doesn't need to hold hands if he wants to help her. Xiao Nianxiang threw away, and saw a group of people in the Qiao family standing there looking at them from afar, and swallowing them back when he said it. I didn't even look at Xiao Weimin, let alone get entangled with Xiao Weimin. With a sound, he followed him and walked into the water box under the gaze of the Qiao family. The people from the Qiao family, including Xiao Weimin, were stunned. Shuikshuan is different from other places. The business here is so good. They have found a lot of relationships when booking here tonight. They still booked a normal compartment. Xiao Nian just followed the young man into the private room. There seems to be only 2 words in the difference, but the identity gap represented is separated by a gap. This chapter ends. Madam's Identities shocks the entire city again. Chapter 6, a professor at Qin University said that he was a light teacher. Chapter 6, the Qin University professor just said that the light teacher. Xiao Chen held He Yujuan's hand and couldn't help but tighten it. His eyes flashed and looked in the direction where Xiao Nian'an left, and murmured in a low voice, "Grandma, have you heard what that person just said?" He seemed to say that his sister's biological grandfather was in that private room. But aren't Xiao Nian's family members from the valley? How could I book a private room in Shuixuan? All the people in the Qiao family thought of this and their faces were not very good looking. However, there were outsiders. Some of them were not easy to discuss now, so they could only put away their doubts and temporarily follow the waiter to the place they ordered. Asterisk. In the private room. Yi Wangchuan pushed open the door, and several people sat in the door in a row. She followed behind and went in. The old man in the wheelchair immediately turned red and asked someone to push him over. He grabbed Xiao Nian's hand excitedly, and his eyes were already wet before he could speak. "You are Nian Nian. Good kid, so many years, Grandpa finally found you. I am really afraid that I will go first if I can't wait for you. If I don't find you, I will explain to your mother if I have any face underground." Xiao Nian looked at his gray hair. The emotions on the old man's face were not as fake. His bright eyes were tearful at the moment. It was obvious how excited he was. Even the hand holding her was trembling. She had never felt this way before, and her mood was rising and falling with the old man holding her hand and talking. Mr. Jiang was a person who came out of the storm and waves. His emotions were out of control for a while and he slowly controlled his emotions later. However, his eyes still looked red, and it was obvious that his eyes had been wet before. Holding Xiao Nian's hand, he began to introduce the people in the house to Xiao Nian one by one. "Nian Nian, this is your father, Jiang Zongjin, who is teaching now." Yi Wangchuan raised his eyebrows and leaned obliquely against the wall to look at the old man's introduction. Professor of the Qin University, the old man introduced the teaching with a light sentence. Xiao Nian saw a man wearing a Zhongshan suit with red eyes and his hands clenched into fists, as if he was trying his best to restrain his emotions. She had a vague concept of dad, but the old man seemed to want her to call her dad. She pursed her lips and looked at the middle-aged man with clear eyes and shouted, "Dad." Mr. Jiang breathed a sigh of relief and gently introduced other members of the family to her. "That's your second uncle and second aunt and your sister Shinro. Your second uncle is doing business outside, Shinro is about the same age as you. You have seen her brother, and it's Jiang Li." Xiao Nian looked at it and saw a girl about the same age as her standing next to a man and a woman. The girl and her mother looked faint. It was obvious that she just nodded to the old man's face and reluctantly greeted her. The man looked okay and greeted her intimately. "Second uncle and second aunt." Xiao Nian shouted slowly. Mr. Jiang's face was full of joy. He didn't ask Xiao Nian to integrate into this family immediately. Seeing that Xiao Nian didn't resist, he was satisfied. Immediately he took Xiao Nian's hand and said, "Are you hungry? Haven't you had lunch yet? Come, have dinner first. Zongjin, let the waiter serve the food." Good. The family was having fun at the dinner table, and the old man kept picking up food for her. As she asked about some of her past events. As long as he asked, Xiao Nian answered questions and answered them all. Although the answer was very simple, at least he was not perfunctory. This chapter ends. Madam's Identities shocks the entire city again. Chapter 7, reading at the Ringqing No. 1 Middle School. Chapter 7 Reading at No. 1 Middle School. As he asked, Mr. Jiang suddenly paused and said as if he wanted to speak, "Nian Nian, I heard that you have been off for a year and you are about to go to the third year of high school, right? Have you thought about which high school to go to? Is there a school you like?" "High school, school." Xiao Nian was originally burying her head and drinking soup without thinking. He lowered her eyelashes and curled up the look in her eyes. The old man didn't even think about going to school if he didn't mention it. For her, high school and college are just diplomas, and she no longer needs this thing. But at this moment, Xiao Nian pondered for a moment, raised her eyes and shook her head. I haven't thought about it yet. Jiang Xianro treated her previous hesitation as poor grades and sneered in her heart that she would not be able to get into high school and had not yet thought about it. Grandpa is really, and he asked her which school she likes. Can you get on if you like it? Yi Wangchuan glanced at the well-behaved girl who was eating, stretched her body and leaned on the back of the chair, and spoke casually, it's good to circle the city number 1 middle school. Ring the city number 1 middle school. Mr. Jiang originally wanted to take Xiao Nian back to Beijing to study, but was stunned when he heard this. Then he thought that Xiao Nian had another identity, Yi Wangchuan's fiancée. The city of Beijing was full of people, and Nian returned to Beijing with such a big thorn. He might not be able to protect her. After a moment of thinking, he agreed, ranking number 1 middle school is good, and the teaching quality is okay. Nian, what do you think? Ranking number 1 middle school. Xiao Nian pursed her lips and didn't want to stay in the city again. But when she raised her eyes and met the old man's expectant gaze, she didn't know how she almost nodded, whatever you want, I don't care. Then go around the city number 1 middle school. He is recuperating in Beijing, and Zhong Jin also works in Beijing. If Xiao Nian wants to stay in the city, he can only let the second wife take care of him. His eyes turned around Jiang Xianro and the others, frowned, and said, your second brother has a house around the city. In the last year of high school, you can temporarily live with him except for the school. As soon as these words came out, the remaining 3 of the second house family except Jiang Li was not very good looking. Jiang Li has a separate house outside, but what does the old man mean to arrange people outside so brightly? Beware of them. Jiang Xianro was young until she was young, and she immediately curled her lips and showed her dissatisfaction. Jiang Zhongnan is fine, but it's a little embarrassed. Tang Wanru, who was sitting next to her elegantly, wiped her mouth, as if she was disdainful to participate in such a thing. Yi Wangchuan said lightly leisurely, I will stay in the city for a while and can help take care of her. Xiao Nian suddenly looked up at him, and happened to bump into someone's gaze. This look. She almost choked by the soup in her throat and looked away. In the outside compartment, Xiao Chen and Xiao Weimin were absent-minded in their meal. They had been thinking about what happened to Xiao Nian before, and they were distracted several times as they spoke. Fortunately, He Yujuan and Tang Wei had a close relationship, and finally confirmed that she would be able to enter the People's Art Theater after the college entrance examination. Xiao Chen felt a little more distressed. After a meal, the guests enjoyed it. He Yujuan, Xiao Weimin and Mrs. Fu were going to send Tang Wei and his daughter, and Xiao Chen followed behind. After leaving Shuixuan, Fu Gu saw her pale and absent-minded look, and walked beside her and asked in a low voice, "What's wrong?" Xiao Chen saw his resolute eyebrows and eyes, bit his lip, shook his head, and replied delicately, "It's nothing, my head feels a little uncomfortable." This chapter ends. Madam's Identities shocks the entire city again. Chapter 8, the scumbag is pretending to be weak again. Chapter 8, the scumbag girl is pretending to be weak again. She was in poor health since she was a child, and Fu Gu didn't think so much. He looked up at the adult who had walked in front of him and greeted him early, and said, "Do you want to go to the hospital for a look?" Xiao Chen just lied casually, not really feeling uncomfortable, so he stopped him immediately, grabbed his arm, and said vaguely, "No need, brother Gu. I'm just an old problem. Maybe I've been in there for a long time just now and felt a little chest tightness. I came out to breathe fresh air, and I'll be fine in a while." Fu Gu looked caring and gently helped her to calm her breath with his hands. His voice became softer, "You should tell me early when you feel uncomfortable. Aunt Tang and the others are not the ones you care about." Xiao Chen looked at his handsome face, because Xiao Nian's depressed mood finally calmed down, and he held his hand sweetly and shyly, "Yeah." After umbling, she seemed to remember something and spoke hypocritically, "I saw my sister just now, why did she run to Shuixuan? I remember my dad said that her biological parents were from Luoha County. There was only one train to Luoha County every day. Did she not buy a ticket?" Fu Gu frowned when he heard this, turned around and looked at Shui Shixuan, not caring too much, "Maybe." Xiao Chen bit her pink lips and said hesitantly, "Actually, before my sister left today, she had a little frustration with her grandmother. She didn't take the money she gave her. She seemed to think we were going to drive her away. And the matter between you and me. Brother Gu, am I too greedy? I shouldn't have robbed you with my sister. It has nothing to do with you. Fu Gu saw the mist in her watery eyes, and his heart ached, and immediately said, "It's me that I like you first. Xiao Nian He will bless us. Xiao Chen has been in poor health since childhood and is soft and weak. The only thing he is brave is to be with him. As a man, he can't be irresponsible. Xiao Chen is so weak that he is not at ease without his care. As for Xiao Nian, he can only say sorry." Xiao Chen saw that Xiao Nian looked cold when she said that he had no extra feelings, and she felt much better when she was blocking her mood. But I was thinking about the reason why Xiao Nian came to Shuixuan. Maybe just like what Grandma and the others said, Xiao Nian came here just a coincidence. She was in good mood and raised a smile on the corner of her mouth. Suddenly, she glanced at a corner from the corner of her eyes that was walking out of the other direction. Xiao Nian. Xiao Nian was wearing clothes for going out at noon, a t-shirt with a striped shirt, and light blue denim shorts underneath, revealing her two straight and beautiful legs, which was so white that she shook her eyes. The face was also outstanding, with undyed black eyes as dark as ink, and its eye feathers were scattered, and it seemed as if it was hidden in a mysterious hook. Fu Gu obviously saw Xiao Nian and said in surprise, "Xiao Nian." In addition to Xiao Nian, he also saw other people. Xiao Weiman, who was walking in front, stopped and looked over when he heard this. Tang Wei was supported by her daughter. She was walking in front of her and didn't know who she saw, but suddenly stopped talking to He Yujuan. Asked her daughter to help her walk over, walked to Mr. Jiang, and greeted him happily, "Old Jiang, why are you circling the city?" "Mr. Jiang." The Qiao family were all stunned. Mrs. Fu didn't know what she thought of, her face changed slightly, and her eyes instantly flew over the Jiang family and her group. River. She has heard of this surname, but it is not what she thought was so Jiang. The circles around the city are also divided into different levels. The Qiao family just stepped into this circle with 1 foot, so they must be considered at the 9th level at most. The Fu family is much better than the Qiao family, and there are people in the family who have careers. This chapter ends. Madam's Identities shocks the entire city again. Chapter 9, Isn't it just a teacher, what's there to regret? Chapter 9, Isn't it just a teacher, what's the point of regret? But when it comes to the most powerful families, the Jiang family and the Tang family are definitely top-notch, and the Shen family, the Fu family can only barely squeeze into this circle. Among these families, the Jiang family is the leader. Because the Jiang family and Beijing city have a close relationship, Mr. Jiang was also an amazing figure in the city when he was young. But I got old later and my health was getting worse and worse. I moved to Beijing for recuperation 10 years ago, and rarely came back since then. These juniors have heard of names, but rarely seen themselves. Mr. Jiang saw the group, and was in a happy mood when they were happy, and smiled loudly, "Come back and pick up my granddaughter." Granddaughter? Tang Wei looked at Xiao Nian, who was silently pushing him in a wheelchair behind him. Ice skin and jade bones, outstanding eyebrows. It's this little girl who looks so good. She didn't exaggerate. The Jiang family is all good looking, but the girl in front of her looks, what can be said, it's amazing. Mr. Jiang couldn't help laughing. Every child's appearance is not important. He said this, and the pride that could not be hidden on his face was introduced to Xiao Nian. Nian, this is Grandma Tang. Xiao Nian's eyebrows moved slightly and she shouted obediently, "Grandma Tang." Tang Wei immediately took off the beads on his wrist and stuffed them into Xiao Nian's hand. He said guiltily, "Oh, Nian is so good. I don't know that your grandfather will take you here for dinner today. If you know, you will definitely prepare a meeting gift for you. I have worn this beads for several years. It was something I went to Puzhou Temple to find Master Wuming's consecration a few years ago. Don't dislike it." Xiao Nian shirked away several times, but she couldn't help but also said Mr. Jiang, so she barely took the things away. Tang Wei gave a gift to meet and greeted the old man with satisfaction. The Chiao family and his group, including Mrs. Fu, were all stunned. Especially He Yujuan and Xiao Weiman and others, their faces were blue and purple, and Xiao Weiman even stood there and talked, and it was not right to talk. Xiao Chen was as if he was struck by lightning at this moment, and his face was as white as paper. She pinched her fingers tightly and murmured in disbelief in a voice that only she could hear, "Sister, her parents are not from Luoha County. How could Grandma Tang meet?" Moreover, Tang Wei's attitude was not only acknowledged, but also a little deliberate closeness to the old man around Xiao Nian. Xiao Nian, how could she know such a person? Tang Wei chatted with Mr. Jiang for a few words, and then asked Xiao Nian, "See Nian Nian's age in high school, right?" "I'm about to go to the 3rd year of high school." Mr. Jiang replied with a smile. Tang Wei looked at Xiao Nian and asked, "Where are you studying?" Mr. Jiang did not hide it and replied casually, "Rouching No. 1 Middle School." She had been off for a year before, so she had to choose a new school. I asked her and she thought Rouching No. 1 Middle School was okay, so she let her stay here for the time being. Xiao Chen and the Chiao family, who were distracted, both heard the name of Rouching No. 1 Middle School. The only blood left on Xiao Chen's lips was gone, and he almost couldn't stand it. Rouching No. 1 Middle School. Xiao Nian is going to go to Rouching No. 1 Middle School to go to school. I remember that when she was taking the high school entrance exam, her family tried her best to get a place to go to Rouching No. 1 Middle School, but the other party said lightly, and the huge gap made her look dazed. She was not in the mood to listen to anything Tang Wei said later. It was not until Xiao Nian followed Mr. Jiang and her group left that she came to her senses in a daze and heard her grandmother asking about the extraordinary Grandma Tang and Aunt Tang. Who was that old man just now? Tang Wei didn't know their relationship with Xiao Nian, so she replied casually, "Oh, you said Mr. Jiang. An old friend." He Yujuan was puzzled and said, "What kind of friend? Why haven't you heard from you before? I don't mention it specifically when I rarely walk around." Tang Wei and He Yujuan have a good relationship, but the Chiao family cannot reach the real top-notch circle around the city. The old man of the Jiang family has some relationship with the superiors, and even she has to be cautious. She can't reveal the other party's identity to irrelevant people, and she just smiled and said, "Finally, Mr. Jiang is still half a teacher. She is patriotic in Chinese painting. Mr. Jiang is a master of Chinese painting." She has asked the other party several times. It's not an exaggeration to call out half of the teacher. Oh. He Yujuan understood when she heard this. The poor relatives of Xiao Nian's family came from Luoha County, but they were good at being teachers and should be well known in the local area. She knew that her friend was obsessed with Chinese painting, and it might not be certain that she could have some skills in this regard when she saw that old man's age. Don't TV series often play the kind of masters who appear in the countryside? Unfortunately, he is not a famous teacher. I heard before that his granddaughter had been lost and I never found him. I didn't expect that after so long, I finally found someone. The child at home has been lost for so long and finally recovered. He will definitely treat the child as a stingy person. That girl is so lucky. I heard that Jiang always found the information of granddaughter online. The girl posted the information online and saw that the family who adopted her was not very nice to her. I don't know if that family will regret it in the future. The Chiao family's face hurts and their eyes are filled with stars, and they can't even say awkward words. Xiao Weiman thought that he had thought that Xiao Nian was chasing him to ask for money, and his face was burning, his heart, liver, spleen, stomach and kidneys were almost squeezed together. I was embarrassed to speak this in awesome way. He Yujuan looked at Xiao Nian's back coldly, with an expression of disagreement. Isn't it just a teacher, what's there to regret? Teacher? Did she misunderstand something? Everyone had gone far away, and Tang Wei didn't say anything else. This chapter ends. Madam's Identities shocks the entire city again. Chapter 10, Wangchuan, are you free? Chapter 10 Wangchuan, are you free? Outside the water pavilion. The Jiang family's car is here. As soon as Xiao Nian walked out, the cell phone in her bag was vibrating. She took out the cell phone, lowered her eyes and stopped when she walked outside. Nian Nian, what's wrong? Mr. Jiang was always paying attention to her every move, and immediately stopped to ask with concern when he saw her. Did you forget to take something? Without. What she wants to take is somewhere else. Xiao Nian put her phone back in her pocket and raised her head to discuss with him, Grandpa, I want to go to a place later. Mr. Jiang had just found her and wanted to pick the stars in the sky and give them to her. Without thinking, he said, where do you want to go? I'll ask your brother to send you there. Dissatisfaction flashed in Jiang Xianrou's eyes and she interrupted, Grandpa, I'll have a press conference later, and my second brother agreed to send me over. As a beautiful academic master, Jiang Xianrou is well known in the entertainment industry and has acted in many TV series before she graduated. It is well known in Beijing. Can't you let the driver give you away? Mr. Jiang did not agree with her in the entertainment industry. The status of the Jiang family does not require Jiang Xianrou to show up outside, but Jiang Zhongnan and Tang Wanru agreed with Jiang Xianrou's fun in the entertainment industry. He, a grandfather, is not too tough, and young people are not allowed to have their own ideas. Jiang Xianrou curled her lips unhappily, held his arm and acted coquettishly, my second brother and I agreed early in the morning. She looked at Xiao Nian hostilely and said casually, let the driver send Nian Nian. Xiao Nian was not blind. Seeing her hostility towards herself, she spoke casually, no need to be so troublesome, I'll take a taxi by myself. How can that be done? Mr. Jiang was the first to refuse to agree. He thought about it with the deep eyebrows, suddenly looked to the side, and said to the nobleman, Wang Chuan, do you have time to send me Nian Nian? Jiang Xianrou immediately bit her pink lips and her face changed slightly. She insisted that Jiang Li send her off, the key point not on Jiang Li, but on the person who is with Jiang Li. She was thinking about having multiple opportunities to get along with that person alone. If Yi Wangchuan gave Xiao Nian, wouldn't she have spoken for nothing just now? She reluctantly held the old man and said first, Grandpa, brother Wangchuan is so busy, he will definitely have no time. Why don't you let your second brother take her away? I'll take a taxi by myself. Didn't you just say that your second brother had made an appointment with you? Old Master Jiang turned his eyes to the tall and upright young man and asked for his opinion, Wangchuan, are you free? It means that you don't have time. Yi Wangchuan was standing in a state of no shape. The afterglow flashed past the girl who was replying to the message and asked Jiang Li to get the car key. The aggressive and cold picture said seriously to the old man, I have time. I'll give her it. Jiang Xianrou's expression has become even less beautiful now. She forced a smile and kindly suggested, Brother Wangchuan, you must be very tired after you came back from Lin City. Let me give you my second brother a gift. Tang Wanru knows her daughter's thoughts, and Yi Wangchuan's identity is where. Who doesn't want such a son-in-law? She didn't speak all night and spoke at this moment, yes, Wangchuan, let Jiang leave and see him off. Jiang Li didn't notice these small details, patted his shoulder indifferently, and asked in a low voice, you haven't had a good sleep for 3 days. If it really doesn't work, go back and rest first. I'll send Nian Nian. No need, I'll give away my people. Jiang Li. Yi Wangchuan took the car key from him, and ignored Jiang Xianrou and the others. He walked straight to Xiao Nian, lowered his graceful phoenix eyes, and spoke slowly, where do you want to go? Xiao Nian is a person who is very afraid of trouble, especially in interpersonal troubles. Jiang Xianrou stared at her resentfully a few meters away, and Tang Wanru's expression was cold and repulsive when she saw her. She withdrew her gaze and looked at the man she was giving her for no reason. The temples hurt again. Jiang Li, this friend, is really annoying. She put her phone back in her pocket and did not go to see the Jiang family and her group, Wangjiang South Road. This chapter ends.